Hey, hey, how's everybody doing out there tonight? We are here live from the local, and we've been doing these streams for months and months now. We started way back in, was it June, I believe? And we've been premiering live local bands from here and been having to take a break because of COVID, and we decided today we're going to have a conversation about how to get legitimate using your creative business or how to legitimize a business. I had messaged Joel the other day and asked him what it would take to get legit, so to speak, and he said, well, why don't we have this conversation on live from the local live stream? And here we are, and so I'm Jay James, and I help event coordinate here for live from the local, and I also have my own recording studio in downtown. This is Joel Rash. Let him introduce himself a little bit to you. Yeah, Joel Rash. I helped start the local many years ago, and I was just talking about this with my buddy Chris. I'll be 55 here very, very soon, and in my life I've had 4 years of having a legit job, like health insurance benefits. The whole rest of my life has been just kind of making it up, a succession of side hustles. So it's cool to sit down with Jay and Maya and Bryce and talk a little about how you can take that side hustle and make it a legal, legitimate business that you can really build and expand and not be looking over your shoulder, for the hammer to fall about the legal side of it. Taxes and bank accounts and that kind of thing. Right. So just to kind of kick things off here, one major thing I think, and I've had people ask me this too, how to go about getting a business license. And I think that that's a really great question, and you probably would be able to answer it a lot better than I would. Yeah, the shorthand for this is forms of business ownership, and to keep it really brief, you're basically going to do an LLC, a limited liability corporation, or a S corp or a C corp. Virtually everybody in the creative economy is an LLC, right? And you're going to do that as a single owner. It's very simple. It's $50 online. It takes less than 8 minutes. At the end of the video, we're going to post a website where you can go to that state of Michigan. It's at michigan.gov, and you can form that LLC yourself, and it basically is like the business side of you. You can do a corporation. We used to have the local as a corporation. It can help for insurance purposes. It can help if you're going to sell stock shares. But most people in the creative economy, it's their individual skills and ability and passion, and it's going to stay that sole owner from day one until the end. Is that called proprietorship? Sole proprietorship? Yeah, it is just one of you. Okay. An LLC can be a partnership, but I don't know. I think like most people, I do better like as a sole owner instead of trying to figure out a partner. A lot of partnerships I know of ended up partnerships with best friends, ended up split up and not talking to each other. No longer friends. Yeah, and the other thing, Dave mentioned DBAs. DBAs are doing business as. They're $10. You get them at your county office, and that sort of protects your name locally. So, what's your studio called? My studio is called Vehicle City Studio. Yeah, so if you want to make sure nobody else bites on your name, you go to the county, you spend $10, you get a DBA, J. James doing business as Vehicle City Studio. That's a good first step, but it only protects your name in the county. Is that how you take the steps to set up a bank account as a business, as with the DBA? Yeah, and the cool thing is you can get a bank account with your DBA or with your LLC. So if you're not even ready to form your LLC yet, but you just want to get started for $10, you can get your DBA, you can make sure your name is protected in your home county, and you take your DBA down to your bank, and you can open a separate bank account in the name of your business. What what you do is, Jay has a client who pays by check, they can make a check out to Jay James, they might make the check out to Vehicle City Studio, that you might not be able to cash at your bank or deposit. So if you have a separate bank account, it's a little more flexible, and if you run all of your business through that bank account, it makes tax time way between a DBA and an LLC. Does it business like Vehicle City Studio really require an LLC? So the other LLC, limited liability, that part really does matter, right? We said it's only $50. Um, the limited liability part means that Vehicle City Studio is a distinct entity from J. James. So your studio is on the second floor. Say you have clients coming to record in the studio.
They have a business relationship with Vehicle City Studio. They can sue Vehicle City Studio.
But not J. James.
They can't touch your house, your car, your personal assets if you have it set up legally as Vehicle City Studio. The other thing is Vehicle City Studio has a bank account. Vehicle City Studio might not really have any assets. J. James might own all that recording gear. It's leased to Vehicle City Studios, and so somebody sues you, you don't even have to defend yourself.
And you don't lose all your gear.
You say, okay, you win, you can claim all my assets. It's a vinyl decal on the door, a Facebook page, a website.
Some business cards.
And the $48 I have in my bank account. And then you start your new studio after that. So it definitely is like, part of the reason for an LLC is to protect you from valid or invalid claims. And in the business world, right, somebody could come in, record, they could walk out the door totally happy, and then turn around and sue you and say they didn't get the recording they thought they were. You know, so it's
I see.
So, you know, if you can't afford the $50 for an LLC, you probably can't afford to start a business.
Touché.
So just do it right from the start.
Yeah.
It's going to make your life easier.
Right on. Well, another thing we had discussed was, I guess we kind of hit on all those points, really, without even realizing that we did it.
Well,
form of ownership, is that what the difference is between DBA, LLC?
But we did touch briefly. Insurance matters, especially as your operation gets bigger. And the one thing nobody thinks about is renter's insurance. And if you rent a space, renter's insurance is really, really inexpensive. Like below is $250 a year, and provide tremendous coverage for all your assets.
So that would protect me if, for example, my studio is above the local. So if something, heaven forbid, were to happen to the local, that would protect my gear with
a bad roof leak, a fire in a neighboring business. There's all sorts of things that can go wrong. You can get liability insurance on your business, which is never a bad idea. That's something, advise everybody, get an insurance agent. I'll throw out a plug for Bradley Bell, who used to be in Chiodos.
Oh, right on.
And now he's an insurance agent in Davison. He's somebody that understands musicians, knows the creative economy. Whoever your insurance person is, you know, they want to help you have the right coverage, just like you want to have a tax person. The local was a not-for-loss business for a long time, but it was very informal. We had a bank account, we tracked everything, but we weren't really legal. And at some point, when the shows got more active and more regular, we went to a tax guy and said, what do we have to do to not get in trouble? And he looked at our stuff and said, well, you're not scamming the IRS because you lose so much money, but you have to be able to show it.
Yeah.
So getting your own commercial bank account, running all your business through that
Protects you in that scenario.
Exactly. And then at the end of the year, you give it all to your tax preparer. They're the ones that then will deal with the IRS if anything is incorrect. And like I said, these things start out small, they snowball. You do some take some photographs for a friend, and the next thing you know, you're shooting weddings.
Right.
And so there's a checklist, right? How to start a business. 1 through 10. Nobody starts at 1.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You start with the idea, like you make a few beats, you shoot video for your friend's band because they need somebody to hold the camera, and before you know it, you're up and running. Well, then you go back to number 1 and get your LLC.
That's actually leads me to what I was just thinking is obviously once you've started getting paid for doing whatever it is you're doing creatively, you should already be looking at business licensing, DBA, bank accounts, those things.
Absolutely.
But with that being said, like you said, for a long time the local was having to run, without those things. for a long time, my studio has been running without those things, and I'm transitioning now into the legality of it all. At what point do you think that choice should be made, that it's time to go from an amateur business where I just make a few bucks from my buddies to it's a real business now?
The best time to do that was yesterday,
Yeah.
and the next best time is tomorrow.
Understood.
And it's not all going to happen at once, but just jump in, figure this stuff out. If you're watching the recorded version of this, at the end we're going to have all of our emails. Drop us an email, catch us online, hopefully soon, catch us at a show at the local.
Absolutely.
And we'd be happy to talk more with any of you. But reach out, learn this stuff, and a little headache now will save you those giant headaches later that could endanger your entire operation.
And not just your business, but yourself personally too.
Absolutely.
I'm going to actually hand the buck over to Maya from Next to Last. And thank you guys. I'll come back and hang out in little section 3.
Awesome. Thanks, Jay.
Thank you.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Maya. Just so folks watching know, Maya's actually my boss. Maya's on the board of directors for our organization, so
Yeah.
we're going to have a discussion, but you should know absolutely who's in charge.
No, I'm gonna give you your props from the start, because when I went through the process of like, I want to start a business, but I have zero clue what I'm doing. The first person I went to, I was like, I have to ask Joe. Joe knows what he's doing, and you literally helped me through that process. So for that, thank you, because I don't know if I'd be in this position without the help that you've given me throughout the years.
Happy to help.
Yeah.
And, this, we talked with Jay, who's got the recording studio, which is a pretty focused operation, right? Like there's a menu of prices, there's services provided, you walk in, you do the thing. And it's interesting to have Maya up here because, right, you do a bunch of different things that are sort of these interlocking pieces that provide different services depending on what that particular client wants. So if you could tell us a little bit about that, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, so Next to Last Productions is my company that I run, and it has a few different sections of it. So in one section we have My Music Productions, which is my production company that I run under Next to Last, and then we have Uptown Nationals, which is my clothing line, and then we have the actual Next to Last Productions, which is my film company. So we have a few different sectors of it that handle different things, and I have the LLC Next to Last Productions, but under that, your advice, I got a few DBAs to run those different sectors under Next to Last Productions.
Cool. And how long have you been running Next to Last? And I know you were a student at Mott Community College in the media arts program, right? We met you as an intern.
Yeah.
We hired you to run sound at the local, and now you're on the board of directors for the whole operation, which is a lot quicker career path than I've ever had in my life. But if you could tell us like how you went from being somebody interested in music, right? A ton of people are making beats, a bunch of people are making music, but you formalized that and created your own business as a platform to work from. Yeah,
so like you and Jay were discussing, I started out with just like no legal nothing. Like I was just making beats. I would grab a camera if somebody needed something to be shot. I just shoot that. And what happened was that when I was at Mott, gaining a relationship with the people around you is so important to starting a business, because that's how I ended up here. I had a great relationship with my teacher. Shout out to Dr. Wisdom. And he actually, he allowed me to do an internship a year early. And because of that, I was able to intern with Ashley Peacock, our brother that we love so much. And from that relationship that Ashley and I built together, I was able to, he trusted me enough to recommend me to somebody else, and that somebody else being you. And that's how I even, I think back sometime, I'm like, how did I even get caught up with the local? Like I had no ties to the local before that. So building a relationship to the point that people are willing to vouch for you, and that comes from putting out quality product. That comes from being a good person, a genuine person in what you do, not just looking at money. When I first started, there was not a dime in it, but the knowledge that you can learn from somebody is so much more valuable, especially in the beginning when you don't know a thing. So you need those nuggets of information that you can get from people, and building those relationships along the way without any, I never at any point was like, yeah, I'm gonna I want Ashley to plug me, so I'm gonna do this. It was a genuine thing, and that's so important to starting a business and gaining those relationships along the way. And you've thrown me people to work with over the years. Jay has thrown me people, so that's a super important bit that you can't skip that step.
Right. Yeah, and that authenticity is so important. And that's like, I have made referrals. People get a hold of me and say, I need video shot, I need audio, and when I make a referral, my reputation's on the line.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Ashley. Think about something you told me once is, if somebody is in the technical world is acting like a know-it-all, they're telling you they're unteachable.
Yes.
Because they think they know it already.
Yeah.
And it's funny watching Ashley ask a know-it-all to roll a cable for him. Right? And then it already knocked them off their guard because they absolutely don't know how to roll a cable, even though they thought they did.
Right.
So it's that being confident without being cocky, knowing your limitations. Like I know Jay promotes his business hard online. I have never seen him say anything like he's the best recording artist in mid-Michigan, or best producer, best engineer. What he's saying is, here's what I have, here's what I can do for you, and you're going to walk out the door pleased with the results of our work together.
Yeah.
And then you let the clients do your promotion.
Right.
You get a band happy with their songs.
Right.
Or a band happy with the video that Bryce shot. They're the ones telling their friends, look how great this worked.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it's so important to network across from you. I think sometimes a lot of people get into business and they think, well, I got to find this person, the hit of the top person in this industry. You can find someone, Jay and I went to school together. That's where our relationship was built from. And from the moment that we met, we were just able to always meet up with each other. If we ever need anything, it's like simple as, hey, Jay, you know about this? You got something for this? So that's super important to pay attention to those around you now. Because
I think about like those contests where they do like a raffle and it says on the ticket, must be present to win.
Yeah. Right.
When I think about those internships that we did, for several years with Mott, and out of those interns, you two are here.
Yeah.
Now, there were a bunch of other interns that knew their stuff, that we had good conversations with after these sessions that lasted for hours. And you have people excited about music and they wanted to make this their thing. And I bet I gave out, just to those students, like 25 or 30 business cards.
Yeah.
Well, I heard from two of those people, and now they're the ones running the local and putting on our live streaming.
Yeah.
Because you guys are the ones that followed up. And we always joke, like, if you can't answer your email, you can't play a show at the local.
Yeah.
If you can't put a post on Facebook, you can't play a show at the local. Like, it's such a low bar to cover. And one of the people that was an intern, he played in bands. He was familiar with the local. He was really excited about it. And like a year later, I ran into him at a show at Soggy Bottom. And he was like, oh, man, sorry, I never got a hold of you.
Oh, wow.
Things came up. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. I said, but from a business relationship standpoint, dropping an email a couple weeks later that said, I'm too busy with work or with family, let's keep in touch.
Yep.
Preserves that relationship. And I know you've turned down work. Jay's had to turn down work. The studio's booked at that time. And there's a way to do it that's right and wrong. And the wrong way is not answering at all because you're not making any money. The right way is, hey, I've got February completely locked down.
Yep.
But if you guys can stall until March, I'm going to get you in and take care of you.
Yeah.
Or let's do an afternoon session and knock out that song for you that you need. I'll go to my way. And or make another referral.
Yeah.
Hey, I know in the photography world, right? Senior picture time is busy. Wedding time is busy. And folks all the time are booked and say, let me pass you along to a friend of mine. And then she's going to be having your back and passing you work when she can't do it. So it's sort of like, that collaboration, having a relationship with people that are also in the creative economy that, might be competitors part of the time.
Right.
But more importantly, are part of like building this community of folks that are able to work together.
Right. Yep. And one of the big things I remember that's standing out in my mind right now is it doesn't hurt to just reach out. Like it never. I remember once I just sent Ashley a message. I was like, hey, you got any books on music that you wanna you want to recommend to me? And that just like it sparked that conversation back up. And I know once I sent you a message. It was a while since I had been at the local, and I was like, hey, Joe, I just want to be around. You got anything you need for me to do? Just being around, staying present.
How'd that work out for you?
It worked out great. I'm happy I did.
Good deal. Well, I think that's a perfect message to end this section on. And I'm going to get out of the way and turn this over so that it's all folks in the creative economy. Whatever I've been accused of, being creative is not on the list. But I think what we'd love to do is hear a little bit more about the importance of that collaboration and how the community is really built by musicians, technicians, beat makers, rappers, singers, choreographers, photographers, videographers. And when we talk about like a Flint, Michigan performing arts scene that's blowing up, the fact now that you can name videographers shooting hip hop videos, not just the artist they're in.
Right.
You throw out Mark Hudson's name, in Flint, in Michigan, across the country, and people know that dude from Flint is recording great work.
Yep.
And that's something for me as like the old guy that's seen this. Like I've seen generations of great bands. I couldn't possibly pick a time and say, oh, this is the golden era of Flint music.
Yeah.
But I can absolutely say this is the golden era of Flint technical skill.
Right.
People are doing amazing things. So cool. Thanks, Maya.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, boss.
Hello.
Hey, Bryce.
What's going on?
Oh, it's going, man. It's going.
Yeah.
This is a great conversation. We love to have you up here.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about the Bryce world. What?
Yeah. So I kind of manage a lot of the technical side of things. Sorry about the audio earlier. Part of the technical side of things is problem solving. So
Yeah.
I hope I proved myself. No. Yeah. I mean, I had never really done live streaming like this before, and Joel had talked to me, and I kind of just like production in general, and I have a good handle on audio and video, I think, to some extent. So there's a lot of like prep work and planning how we could actually make this work and happen. And there was also right off the bat between the three of us a lot of discussion about how it's going to be rocky at first, and we're going to do a lot of trial and error and figure things out, and it'll just keep getting better. And I think the best thing about this entire experience so far is that's true, and it's just continued to get better. And I feel like all three of us we put a ton of work into this, and a lot of people might not look at it and think it's like this huge production yet, but we've learned a lot already, and we've overcome a lot of things we had no idea about, and it's really cool. It's cool that this is here in Flint, and I'm glad it's people who are involved in the community putting this together as a group and a collaborative effort.
Yeah. So Jay, I'm gonna grab you for this too, because I think this segues right into the discussion about collaborations, and this is really the three of our this is our big collab project almost.
Yeah, for sure.
We've worked for months on this, and it's a conversation of knowing what role to play, knowing how to assist in other roles, and like being willing, because I know at every point, I know for myself personally, at some point I've been like, hey Bryce, hey Jay, come look at this. I can't figure this out. Like, can you talk a little bit about, both of you, about how important it is to one, have those collaborations, how important it is to be willing to learn from those that you collaborate with?
Well, I think That's probably really loud in the audio, isn't it? I think with the Flint has this. Sure. Flint has this, small town, big town mentality, right? We're really kind of a small town, but we kind of think we're a big town. In this setting, if we don't work together, Joel mentioned earlier that sometimes we're with our competitors. Like in many ways, you and I are technically competitors.
Right.
But like he said, if I can't do something, then I message you.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bryce is actually an accomplished music recording engineer as well. So if you can't do it, Bryce, you know what I mean? And that's the beauty of it, is that no matter what, you can still get the product you're looking for. And that's kind of a lot of what collaboration does for especially us as technical music and video people, is that also that's another great thing that I just thought of, is like there's things Bryce knows about audio and things you know about audio that I do not.
Yep.
So if I run into a problem that I can't solve, maybe one of you guys can, or maybe one of you guys can. And that's where collaboration comes in. And like Joel said, you got to be nice to each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're not nice to each other, people don't want to collaborate with you.
Right.
So.
And I know at any given point we've had a band or artist in here, and we've been like, well, everybody has a studio. Who gets this one? Who gets to take this one? Yeah. So another thing I wanted to touch on, because you talked about how in the city specifically, and I know Jay and I have been doing some interviews with some artists, and I always tell them, like, it's important for us to build those relationships with the people here first, and then we can, as we grow here, we can branch out. So Bryce, what's that been like starting? What was the start of it like? I imagine it was small. I'm sure we all started with very small, humble beginnings in what we do, and it was able to grow out from that.
Yeah, for sure. For me, like, I've always just going to the local as like a kid, wanted to be around bands in some way. And if it wasn't playing in a band, it was, trying to be involved in production, because I really like that whole, like, sum of all its parts, like, so many people working together to bring this, like, cool thing that people enjoy. So I got involved in audio engineering. I would volunteer and run sound at the local. I volunteered and would help book. I would play there with my own bands. I would shoot bands, photography, video, whatever I could do. And there's a lot of like discussion about that being, you don't want people to exploit you or to take advantage of you. And that's the big balance, I think, that people get caught up on. Sometimes people right away want to charge like, a big rate to do things. And, it really depends on your demographic. Maybe you're in an area where they can't do that.
Right.
And that doesn't mean that your value isn't there,
right,
or you're not worth that. Right. But sometimes, you want to just do stuff because you love to create,
right,
and it's how you get better.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I've watched so many things, masterclass things online from separate, not different hobbies and different skill sets. And pretty much everybody's always like, you just have to work, like do a lot of work. Because it's like, you're just going to do something bad and you're not going to like it. And then you're going to figure out why that's bad. And then you're not going to do that again. And that makes you better,
Yeah.
And it's just a very much trial and error type thing. So for me, doing it in every area I could was really important, and helped me kind of branch out and get to a point where I could say, if you want photos, if you want a music video, I can charge you this or whatever. And people didn't think that was weird,
Yeah. And there's definitely a balance there, and a discussion to be talked about when discussing pricing.
Yeah.
You always want to get your worth, but understanding, like, I even had a moment with my website where I was like, I think I have to humble myself a little bit, because the important thing is I want to get a sale.
Yeah.
Like, sure. It's great to imagine, like, ooh, if I charge $1,000, that's $1,000. Well, you got to get that $1,000 first, you know. So yeah, and another thing is building a portfolio.
Yeah.
Like, just doing it, you know. And one thing I've wrestled with early on is when I was making beats and stuff, I'm like, I got this beat. It's not that great though, but nobody knows I make beats. So I got to put it out there at some point, just so they know. And once I put it out there, people were like, "Oh, I didn't even know you produce. You do this, you do that." And then as I did it more, I was able to build my quality up.
Yeah.
You know, so it's as much as it is about you know, thinking the long game, you kind of got to bring yourself back to the moment and say, okay, let's just
put stuff out.
Yeah, let's start here.
Yeah, I agree. There's like a thing with photography that I always think is weird where like I'll do like photos for a band, like a set of photos, and you know I want to post it on Instagram. I'll be all proud of it. And you know, all the photos that I really like from it, I'll like throw them out there with some photos I don't like, and without fail, like the photos I don't like get way more likes, and I'm always very confused, but it's such a helpful thing to try to like, you know, not listen to yourself all the time, not get like tunnel vision on everything, and kind of like let people like tell you what actually is good if, you know, you're not sure yourself or whatever.
Yeah, put it all out. That's what I learned. People usually like what you don't like, and it's very confusing. Like, what, that was the worst one out of the, you didn't want that one. Like that was the one I put all my effort into. Yeah.
And it's another balancing. It's like, you know, do what you love, do what you like to do, what you think is good, be proud of that or whatever. But also it's nice to know from other people what they like and to consider that and have it as part of your arsenal.
Right. Well, I think that we have a unique situation where we are business owners but creatives at the same time. So that lends and vulnerability to what we do, because we're not just selling you a tractor that somebody else built.
Right.
We're building something from our heart and then trying to get you to be interested enough to want it.
Yeah.
And that changes the entire game. And that's why being a creative in the business world is so much different than managing a restaurant, or, you know what I mean? It's a product that's dependent on what our abilities are and where our hearts are, you know, so there's a vulnerability involved.
Yeah. So I know we're coming to our end. So the last thing I kind of want to talk about, and this is just my piece of advice to those listening out there, find what you love, because there's like any possible thing that you do. And this is no shot or anything, but you know, people get paid money to play video games. And like there are people out there who love playing video games. Find what you love and do a little research and find out how to make money from it. Like, it's as simple as that. And I can't think of one thing that somebody can do that can't make you money in some way. Even if it's just, you know, even if you don't want to do it full time, get you a little side hustle, you know, just something extra to bring in. Do those things that you love to do, regardless of if you would ever get a dime from it or not. And just take a second and figure out, like, hey, I can make a little extra spending money. Like, I can, you know, a little bit of extra money to go get some food or something like that. Just find those things, because they those talents that we have can be used to benefit us, and you would do it even if you didn't get money, right? So you might as well just, you know, grab a little something if you can.
I'm going to actually sign off. I'm going to hand Bryce the microphone, and definitely check us out next week. We have, finally, we are back live from the local. We have the amazing Caleb Robinson's going to be up here.
Yep.
And that is something you're not going to want to miss. I hope everybody has a great night. Here's Bryce.
I don't have much else to say. That was a great sign-off.
All right. Well, that is it for us. Thank you, everybody, joining us. Join us next week. Again, we'll have an amazing show for you. Go back, check out those old videos that we have. Show some love to some local Flint artists while you're already here. Everybody have a good one.